Have you ever had trouble feeling like you've got good friends? We live in a time and a culture that is more connected than ever.
Yeah.
We've got lots of friends virtually, electronically. We have lots of acquaintances maybe, but how many people like really know us? And how many people do we feel really close to where we can really be ourselves and comfortable in our own skin?
Friendship has never been easy, but I think it's harder than ever right now. And we keep hearing from so many people about how they kind of feel like, I don't know how to make a friend. And maybe some of the friends I have aren't exactly good for me. We hear that a lot. And so I don't know if you guys have seen the black and white JP2 pictures where he's like kayaking, he's up in the woods shaving, those cool pictures. I remember seeing those and thinking, oh my gosh, those are so cool. But there's way more going on behind the scenes, behind those pictures. When Pope Saint John Paul II, his first job as a priest was college chaplain. No one's shocked. And whenever he shows up to Krakow to be a college chaplain, he's in the middle of communism. And of course, I mean, lo and behold, he's like, oh yeah, let's do ministry. And oh, hey, by the way, it's illegal. So if you ever noticed, he doesn't usually have a collar on in those pictures. It's like, well, he's camping. Yes, true. But also the students that he would take up into the mountains, they actually would call him Vujek. They'd call him uncle. They'd call him Uncle Carol because it was illegal for him to be with young people. The young people, the college students he was ministering to, sometimes would even share their last names because there were like 75,000 spies that were, put into the community that would rat you out, that you were with a priest, that you were talking about faith, that you were with friends that talked about faith. I mean, communism was built on fear, isolation, sexual teachings, and atheism. It's pretty hard to be a college chaplain during that time where it's like just being crammed down their throat. Sound familiar? The then Vujek, Uncle Carol, would take them up into the mountains and they would get away. And they would sit there and they would chat and they would talk about faith and they would talk about virtue and they'd talk about sex and friendship and what is this life all about? This little group got together and they called themselves środowisko, which is this really cool, hard to say Polish word that actually means environment. It means, they would call it their zone of freedom. Yes, please, and thank you. I think all of us want that zone of freedom, that środowisko. True friendship, Chesterton said, begins with the words, me too. To be able to sit around with people and share your highs and lows, your joys and sorrows, and have someone look at you and say, me too. To be able to talk about your faith or your struggles with your faith, talk about your virtue or lack thereof, to be able to sit around with people and to be real. I think that's what we're all craving, is just a place where you can have that zone of freedom, that środowisko, where you can be yourself. And it's really hard, but it's so worth the work.
Yeah, when you feel lonely, isolated, and afraid, either then in communism or even here today and amidst a dominant culture, the temptation is just to kind of conform. You just conform to the secular agenda. And the thing is, we need each other. We need each other, especially, we've always have.
Yes.
But especially in a climate where a culture is going to bully you, intimidate you. If you don't step in line, your life will be marginalized in one way or another. You might be canceled. That's what happened then. JP2 with those young people, he broke the chains of fear.
Yeah.
How many of us are afraid to be ourselves with people? How many times do we kind of hide our Catholic aspect? I don't want to say that because I know that I'm alone and we have a defensive posture and inferiority complex because we're afraid to be ourselves. With those students, they were able to build friendships based on their faith. They were that zone of freedom, that środowisko, and we need the same thing here now. And here's the thing. The key to virtuous friendship is that it's about something. Virtuous friends don't just run at each other. They're journeying together toward a goal. There's a sense of mission and purpose, united in our pursuit of our Lord Jesus Christ in this life and the next. When friendships, because here's the thing, your friendships are as deep as the good that binds you. What's the depth of what you have in common? What's your common mission, your common purpose? What are you pursuing together? That's the key to virtuous friendships.
When we wrote our book, Gift and Grit, we spent so much time on friendship because a lot of times people say like, oh, you need friends. It's like, how? I don't know how to do it. Where are they at? Are they like hiding from me? You know what I mean? It's easier said than done. And so one of the things that we like to say is a great friendship has 3 ingredients: availability, vulnerability, and accountability. It is so hard to be available right now. I say the greatest gift you can give someone these days is the gift of your eyeballs. Like to put your phone down and to say like, I'm here for you, and to not be distracted, to give of your time. Our time is so valuable and yet it's so easy to waste. A lot of people fear commitment. Like what better is out there? It's so easy to not be committed to a friend, to a friendship, to investing in that. So availability, vulnerability, the cardinal sin of of our times is showing weakness. I mean, you don't want to be a chess piece in someone else's game. Like, what are they going to hold this against me? Are they going to, tell someone or see me in a bad light? Or, it's so much of our culture is about appearances. So it's to be able to say to someone, oh, like, I'm struggling with this right now. It's hard to be vulnerable. But I'm telling you, when you can be vulnerable with friends that you trust, as you've been growing in a relationship and you're available and you're hanging out, again, it's not like an overnight thing, but to be able to get to a point where you can say, yeah, I'm really struggling with this. And to have someone go, either me too, which you'll be shocked how many people are also struggling, or also just to say, I can't imagine how hard that is for you, to have that compassion, to suffer with someone. They can't suffer with you if they don't know what you're suffering of. And so I bring that vulnerability piece to you because I know it's really hard, but it's so important. And then the last one, accountability. It's one thing to say, I'm struggling with this. It's another thing to say, hey, I give you the keys and I want you to ask me how I'm doing. To be able to say, can you hold me accountable because this is so important to me. I want to grow in this. We've walked with a lot of people, and I remember talking to some young adult men, and they were having this accountability, and they looked at me and they said, I didn't think this level of friendship and freedom was possible. And they said it with like emotion and tears in their eyes, and my heart was just like, it's so hard to do the hard things. To be available, to be vulnerable, to be accountable, it is hard. But to watch people's eyes literally speak freedom, and the guys that are gonna stand next to them on their wedding day, the women that are gonna be with them as they walk through all stages of their life. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah, I mean, only the truth has grace, and there's no such thing as a loving lie. What we long for are friends who love us as we are, but too much to leave us that way. And very few of us have friends who have the guts to speak the hard truths when we need to hear them most. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of good people who don't have deep friendships, and I think, as you mentioned before, time, we just haven't made the investment. And I'd really encourage all of us, I'm speaking to myself, I think about different stages of our life where we're too busy right now. We're in grad school.
Or we're moving, and so we don't really want to put any roots down.
It's temporary, and then the temporary just keeps going on indefinitely. It's like, oh, we haven't gone anywhere.
And then you're like, I'm miserable and alone.
We haven't invested in where we are. And you've got to make friendships a priority at every stage in life, at every age. The gift of our time, as you said, is really often the most precious gift we can give. I think so often it comes down to our lives. Often we experience a lack of meaning because we're afraid to commit. We want our options perpetually open, but then life just passes us by. And I think very often committing to someone, to persons, to real noble things, that's where meaning will ultimately come from. I came across this quote, and it's tragic. It's heartbreaking. I mean, when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, but it just pierced my heart. And it went like this. For many in a younger generation, they're going to die alone, without the spouse they never married, without the kids they never had, and without the God they never knew. Real friendship, real purpose, real meaning, a real human life flows from commitment. And making that time, that investment, exactly.
And again, like that quote is like, it breaks my heart, but I really do believe that the beginning of all of that is investing in friendships. Because those friends are going to be the ones that are going to carry you into a relationship. They're going to carry you in your relationship with God. They're going to carry you because there's going to be suffering. There's going to be sacrifice. There's going to be struggle. Friendship is not easy. It is an investment. One of my favorite quotes is one of Jesus' greatest miracle was having 12 friends in his 30s. Kills me every time. I just love it. And it's so true. But I think about those friendships. He invested in them. They were totally available, totally vulnerable, and held each other accountable. And those friendships changed their lives. When we wrote our book, Gift and Grit, we wanted that idea of Short-of-Visco for people to really see, like, this is worth your time. Because so much of this, again, your life flows from a lot of these relationships. And in a time where it is so hard. And so if you're someone today that is like, I need these friends, I want these friends, share this video with them. Say, I want this. Let's run. Within the book, Gift and Grit, we put discussion questions at the back of it because we want people to not only share it with each other, but be able to read it together and say, like, how do we do this practically? And let's, like, again, smash this idea that we have to be the lone wolf and just figure our lives out and that we're going to be fine, that we don't need people, because it's just not true. I think you can hear it in our voice, like, we want this for you. We have seen this transform lives. And so know that we're praying for you. We're excited for you. We're excited for you to find your Short-of-Visco.